Millions of Canadians who lost their jobs or were unable to work because of the pandemic are still depending on the CERB. The Federal Emergency Response Benefit pays $500 a week, and it's been extended a few times, but it comes to an end this weekend. There is a plan to replace it and transition people off it. David Akin explains what it means for you and how politics will determine how it all plays out.
A new session of Parliament and some new plans to help the 4 million Canadians on the CERB after that program ends. Most of those, nearly 3 million people, will move to a simplified employment insurance program that will see recipients receive a minimum of $500 a week. That's the same as the CERB while they look for work. The government originally had set that minimum payment at $400 a week, but boosted it to match the CERB after pressure from NDP leader Jagmeet Singh.
The help that goes to families that are going to see their CERB ending in a couple of days, that amount of support does not get cut by $400, which is what the Liberals were proposing. We fought and won for people.
But more than 1 million CERB recipients will not qualify for that new EI program. And for those, a trio of new recovery benefit programs. One for the self-employed, one for those who need short-term paid sick leave, and one for caregivers. Those programs, too, will pay $500 a week. Now, the new EI program is already in place. Those changes only required cabinet approval. But the other recovery benefit programs requires approval by the House of Commons. And that's where politics and a minority government come into play.
We can't stress the urgency of getting this bill through. I've worked very collaboratively with my critics. I know our House leaders working with other House leaders.
Now, the government does have a few options to quickly pass the bill through the House of Commons, but it has not said how or if it will use those options. And so it looks like it could be an uncertain week for the million or so Canadians who, after next week, can no longer depend on the CERB. Donna?
David, the throne speech was yesterday. There has to be a confidence vote on it at some point, and the fate of the Liberal minority government rests on that. What reaction is it getting?
Well, not unsurprisingly, it's been a bit mixed. I mean, progressive groups, they like the ambition of national child care, national pharmacare, new targets on climate change, things like that. But in the House of Commons, the opposition was not impressed.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday's Liberal throne speech simply repeated the failed promises they've already failed to keep.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, once again, the Liberals repeated their promise of national pharmacare. They claim they're paving the way to universal pharmacare for Canadians, but they refuse to commit to public delivery and fail to set out any timeline for action.
And the premiers of Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, and Alberta, they didn't like this speech from the throne. They say it tramples on provincial jurisdictions. Here's what Alberta Premier Jason Kenney had to say.
That throne speech was filled with, as I say, endless distractions and bright, shiny objects, and was not focused on the central imperative that should unite leaders across partisan and geographic lines, which is protecting lives and livelihoods.
As for that confidence vote in the House of Commons, still not decided when that's going to happen. MPs will be debating the speech from the throne at least until October the 6th. Donna?
All right, David Akin in Ottawa, thanks.